Hello. I recently built a loan calculator as a Power App, and I'll put the link to the video on how to do this below. But I wanted to really think about how we could reuse this Power App. So, as a refresher, if you haven't seen my other video, it's pretty straightforward. It's a loan calculator. We put the amount, payment frequency, etc., into the calculator. Hit the calculate button and it generates my payment schedule with principal and interest over my loan term, which is great, fairly straightforward exercise to do this with, as a Power App. But then I started to think about, well, where else could I use this Power App? And one of the first places I thought about was Salesforce. And so perhaps we have a scenario where I'm a retail banker and my job is to write home loans. And I've got a customer, Rachel Adams, who's been on our bank website, made an inquiry about getting a home loan. So we have a fairly early stage opportunity that's been created in Salesforce for me as a banker. Now, the thing I need to do next with Rachel is actually to go through some scenarios with her, do some calculations, see what she can afford to borrow, etc. Now, I could build a loan calculator within Salesforce, or I might have to then swivel chair as a banker into another system. But given I already have the loan calculator built for me, I can simply embed this inside the Salesforce opportunity. Really convenient for me. Now, the other thing is too, if I am embedding this calculator, what I don't want to do as a banker is I have to rekey the information that I put into the calculator. So let's say, for example, I have a chat with Rachel. She wants to loan $1 million. She actually wants to pay this back fortnightly, and we can offer a really great interest rate here. When I hit the calculate button, I generate that payment schedule. What I actually want to do is the details that I've keyed in here now to actually go into the opportunity. So if I go over to the details tab now and refresh this page, that's exactly what we've done in the back end, is we've now copied the details from a loan calculator into this opportunity. And I'll explain how we did this in a moment. But you may be thinking, okay, so you built a Power App, you built a loan calculator as a Power App. Well, why would I put this into Salesforce? Why wouldn't I use something else? Well, for a start, it's really easy to do. It's really easy to build these sort of apps in Power Apps and then embed them wherever I need to, including Salesforce. But then I can reuse that same application across multiple different places. So, for example, if I have a lending specialist channel in Teams, I can embed that same mortgage calculator right in this channel here as well. Sharepoint, I can simply add that same calculator in a Sharepoint page. And look, I've done no styling here. I've just basically thrown this calculator into these different places. So great reuse capabilities of the same calculator that's actually adding business value across multiple different places. Now, you might be asking at this point, okay, great. So how did you do this? Well, there's a few steps. First of all, to actually embed this calculator inside of Salesforce, there's a couple of things I need to do. First of all, I actually need to create a Lightning component to host this, this Power App. And we do that by going into the developer console and actually creating a new Lightning component. And the only piece we actually need in here is to specify the Aura component, and we're using an iframe to host this Power App. So this is the ID from the Power App, which you can get from the Power Apps tab. So let's just quickly show you that. In the Power Apps, if we look at our apps, and here's my loan calculator, and we go to the details section, we see the web link here, and we just need this first part of our web link, and we put that into Salesforce as this URL. Now, the other thing is, because I want to write back the details of the loan calculator to the opportunity that I'm using, I need to pass the ID of that opportunity to the Power App. So we can use this coding here using the v.record ID, which is a Salesforce tag, to actually pass that as a URL parameter to the Power App. So that's the first part, is to actually create the Lightning component. The second part then is within Salesforce is to go into my page editor and to actually embed that component inside of wherever we want to use, in this case, an opportunity. So in here, I just created a brand new tab called Calculator. If I click on that tab, then my component will appear over here. I can then just drag and drop it onto the screen. So really straightforward. So that's the first part of this. So that gets the Power App embedded inside of Salesforce. The next part then is to actually communicate back to Salesforce when I hit the Calculate button to update the opportunity. So if we now take a closer look at the Power App, there's a few things I did here to extend the loan calculator that I built earlier to be able to put it into Salesforce. The first thing I do is I want to grab the URL parameter that I'm passing to this Power App and store it in a variable. So this line here grabs the op ID parameter from a URL, puts it into a variable called var op ID. Now, when I hit the Calculate button, I want to be able to actually communicate again to Salesforce and say, update the details from the Power App. So in this case, I'm checking to see if I've been passed a URL parameter, because this calculator is getting used in various places, so I may not always embed it in something that's going to pass me that parameter. But if I do get that parameter, then call this flow with the various data points, so principal and frequency, etc., so that flow can then go back to Salesforce and update it. So we take a quick look at that flow, which is our loan calculator handler. Now, I've done this very simply. If I was doing this in the real world, I might have a check at the top here to say, if what type of object am I embedded in? Is it Salesforce? I might pass some other parameters so this handler knows actually what to do once it gets called. But at the moment, I just kept it simple, that we know that we're connected to Salesforce if we get an op ID. So we're just going to basically update the opportunity record directly within Salesforce from within this flow. So that's it. Very easy reuse of that calculator. If we just wanted the calculator without updating Salesforce details, we could do that as well. This just adds some additional value, so I'm not having to rekey information I put in the calculator. Very easy to embed, very easy to reuse across multiple assets that we have. And that's the real power of using Power Apps. Thanks for listening.